Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me in another of my wonderful interviews. Now, some time ago, at the beginning of my sort of travelling around the UK giving talks, I met up with a gentleman who I've seen several times who has inspired me to lots of different things and actually invited me to talk at events and things like that. He's a very nice chap. This was down in Dorset, in Shaftesbury, and he was giving a talk about Feeling is the Secret, which was the title of a book by Neville Goddard back in the, I suppose, 1950s or something. Anyway, it was very intriguing, and it stuck in my mind so much that I actually went and bought the book, and I read that. It's a very slim book. You can read it in half an hour, really, but the truth of it is that simple that you could blink and perhaps not really take it in. So I thought it was worth getting the gentleman in question on the show. His name is Eli Everyman, and he joins me now. Hello, Eli.
Hello, Richard.
Lovely to see you. So, now we've had you on the show before because you've been talking about the Shining seminars, and I've been along and met some of those, the wonderful people, and interviewed some of those, and they've been on the show and what have you. And of course, we've bumped into each other at Glastonbury and places like that. And I know that you're into the sort of freedom and truth and all of that because that's what you do. And you intrigued me with this book, which I got called Feeling is the Secret, which, as I understand it, is about, well, the charging up of your, let's say, your manifestations with emotion. Have I got that right?
That's exactly right. It's exactly right, Richard. It's thank you for inviting me on the show. I do need to
My pleasure.
Yes, it's Neville Goddard came from the West Indies, and he went to. I think he wrote the book in 1947.
Ah, right. There you go.
I think it was 47, and he moved to America, and he met a guy called Abdullah, who was an Ethiopian Kabbalist. I think he was a rabbi actually, but Neville Goddard was very much part of the East esoteric movement to the West. He really did do a lot of work to bring some of those traditions over to the West. And when he was in America, he actually had it was like an esoteric Christian TV show, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
And I think it came out of California, but I mean, can you imagine having that on the telly now?
Yeah.
It's just never going to happen on this
No.
morning, is it? And today's segment we have. Yeah, Neville Goddard's got a really interesting place in that sort of tradition. And the little book that he wrote, he wrote many books, but that book is only about, I don't know, it's 30 pages long or something. It's tiny.
Yeah.
His words, the way he writes is beautiful. His choice of words, it's very, very efficient, very powerful, the words he uses. He understands, that words are spells because it's spelling, right? I think you've talked about that on your show before.
Yeah.
And
in fact, on that, I've got Callie Spells coming on the show in a week or so to do exactly that, talk about the hidden meaning of words and word spells.
Yeah.
Little promotion there for something coming up.
Yeah, well, I think everybody should watch that show because Carly's very good at etymology. She's extremely good at breaking that down. So, yeah, it's beautifully written, and almost the first 2 pages, every single sentence could be a quote. They're that powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful. So what he's saying is that everybody has this technology inside them, the brain, the heart, the gut, the chemicals, to produce the creations that they want. So every thought is actually thought, word, deed. So when you think something, you can create that. And we do all the time. There is, I think one of the lines in the book is something like, consciousness is all of creation, not actually, but literally. So he's saying that consciousness is everything.
Wow.
And it is everything on so many different levels. And so when we think about things, we can manifest those things by being positive, talking about things as though we already have them, That's the key thing. It's a vibrational match. You have to match your vibration with what you want.
Yes.
So yeah, that book is absolutely fascinating in just laying out exactly the rules on what to do. But what he does is he goes into the detail of the emotion, and that's the vibrational match. So the emotion that you experience when you are happy actually pushes those thoughts out into creation. And if people are kind of skeptical about this, it's because it's a hidden piece of knowledge. It's very occulted, and we've kind of been told that we're a meat suit. But we are truly the most incredible piece of technology. The human body is the most incredible piece of technology that's ever existed. And so, for instance, what you can do is you can say, I'm really enjoying this bunch of flowers. This bunch of flowers is absolutely incredible. I absolutely love it. I'm having such a great time with these flowers. And when you do that, you will actually get your bunch of flowers.
So you haven't got the bunch of flowers at that moment that you're saying that?
No.
You're sort of creating them to come
to you. You're creating it. You probably know the book The Secret by Rhonda Byrne that came out 15 years ago.
Yeah, huge story. It made a huge impact, didn't it?
Made a huge impact, and there was a film and lots of hoo-ha about it. And it was interesting because that book kind of tells you most of the story, but it doesn't include, and people around the book were talking about the emotional part of it, but that was the bit that wasn't really pushed forward. Now, bear with me on my phone.
That's the author ringing in now, just to say, actually, I did get that right. You're misquoting me.
That's right. That's my bunch of flowers calling to say that I'm here.
Into Flora. Wouldn't that be amazing?
That was really great.
Would that not be really amazing?
Yeah. So that book was huge, and I think the consciousness of humanity has been moving forward.
Yeah.
And that was a node in time, and but now that quantum physics is really taken hold, and I read something the other day. This is fascinating. That quantum physics is the most studied subject ever. It's not.
Is it?
Yeah. It's been studied, and it's been quantified. As 100%, being accurate and true. Everything that's in that field of science has been proven. So it's the most peer-reviewed, written about, published, researched subject ever.
Wow.
And it's an interesting parallel because we're still very much in the 3D world, so we're looking at the optical world all the time.
Yes.
And people are not really paying attention to the unseen part of our world. So part of my talk actually explains that we live in a very narrow band, a visible band. And then there's a massive amount of frequencies that sit either side of us. And that actually consciousness is, it's everywhere all the time. And we're only truly beginning to come to grips with that through people like Greg Braden and Nassim Haramein. Bruce Lipton's done work. Lynn McTaggart wrote The Field, which is a fantastic book about the quantum field. And all these things are they're just coming out into the open. It's not esoteric anymore. These hidden secrets are just out for everybody to utilize.
So, becoming main. I mean, the thing is, before we started recording this, I happened to mention to you that when I was sort of 18, really, I was starting to read a number of self-help books. I think I was because my father had left home and I was living with an alcoholic mother, my sister and I, and it was very difficult because we had this Jekyll and Hyde problem with her, that she would be lovely when she was sober, when she was drunk she would be a monster, verbally. And I think I was looking for something to grasp, and things like religion weren't really doing it for me, and I started to read books about the conscious and subconscious mind and the power of all of that. And of course, if you mentioned it to anyone, they just thought you were a complete and utter nut. But now it seems, you can't go on YouTube without something coming up about the power of the mind or the power of the subconscious or the manifestation or ascension or all of this sort of stuff. So it does seem incredibly mainstream. But not only is it coming from the sort of mystical people that have channels, but as you said, people like Dr. Bruce Lipton, who's talking at it from a sort of genetic level. And that has helped somebody like me go, golly, I was reading this so long ago, and now it's sort of, we've waited like so many times for blooming scientists to catch up.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Dr. Joe Dispenza, who is part of that kind of group of people that I would consider to be bringing it out. It's a policy of him to not talk about the religious overtones of some of these talks, and he only talks in terms of science. And he's clearly said many times, I don't talk about the religious words to do with these things because people have they kind of just dispel it. So he keeps it very much in the science, and forget it because of the zeitgeist, the framework. Actually, we do understand, or we perceive it as being more accessible. So the proving of these, which are spiritual in effect, they're spiritual concepts through quantum physics, is everywhere. There's an amazing woman called Florence Scovel Shinn, and I think she was writing in the 30s, and she wrote a book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. She also wrote a book called The Word is Your Wand.
Wow.
These, it's like, this stuff is just coming to the fore. And there's a whole lineage of these people who've been writing about these incredible subjects. And I think it's about people realizing they have this amazing power inside them and actually utilizing that power. And I think that, there's a remedy, as Carly will say, there's a remedy for everything. And one of the remedies for the situation we're in is finding the true creative power of who we truly are.
Yeah. I suppose when you think that, a lot of people are sort of skeptic about all of this sort of stuff because they just think it just doesn't register with life as they know it. But I certainly know that if I get into a funk and I start thinking, nothing works, things are going wrong, it seems to prove itself, so that the negative thinking brings more negativity in my life. So in a way, it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's going, I think this ain't going to work. And so it goes, oh, you don't want it to work. Fair enough. It won't work then. And so clearly we just got to flip that the other way round and have that positive mental attitude that so many people talk about, but boost it with that feeling, the inertia or the petrol, if you like, that makes it into something. But it's a big leap for people, isn't it?
I think it is. However, I'll give you an example. Prayer is a very similar way. It's it's a version. There are different ways of doing it. You have intention, you have focused intention. So that's thinking about things. And people within the sort of personal development world use mood boards, visualization.
Mood board? Can you just explain that? I've never heard of a mood board.
Ultimately, and part of my talk is that what you really want to do is get into what I would call a manifestation walk, where you're working on manifesting things constantly in all parts of your life. So, for instance, I'll be sitting in my van sometimes, and I'll be just going, I'm having a fantastic time swimming in this lake, and I'm going through that, and then the next thing I know, I'm in a lake swimming. But going back to the mood board, is there was a guy I remember who did a lot of manifestation work, and he had a mood board where he had his house, he had his car. They were very materialistic. Manifestations. He wanted to attract these things, but he did it years and years and years before, and they were quite big manifestations. Because one of the tricks is to do it on a manageable level to start off with, so it's
believable.
So it's believable, exactly. That's a real key thing. And many years later, He actually bought that very house. He didn't buy a similar house. He bought
Right.
that very house, and he had it on a mood board in his office.
So what is a mood? It's a board that you're putting your projections onto, or
It's a,
your intentions onto.
yeah, it's a visualization board. So
Right.
I'll
Okay.
give you an example. The subconscious is always on. It's always on. It's never
Yeah.
off. So when you're
It's
awake,
how I feel most of the time at the moment. Always on. But go on. Yeah. Sorry.
yeah. So when you're in like gamma state, when your brain waves are in gamma state, and you're very up here and you're problem solving and doing all the day to day things, your subconscious is still on. And when
Yes.
you're asleep, your subconscious is still on. So it's always on. And what the subconscious does is it just sits there. And it's interesting because I don't know whether this is true or not, but when I was thinking about my talk the other day, I realized that because I always thought that the word subconscious was like below consciousness,
Yeah.
subconsciousness.
Sub, as in
But then
like a submarine.
but then I
Yeah.
realized that actually a better way of putting it is the subjective consciousness.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah, and I thought that was interesting. So if it's subjective and your mind is objective, which are obviously positive and negative, they're opposites. If you put your intention, your objective focus onto the subconscious, it has to accept it.
Yes.
It's not. It's got no. It's not like, oh, I'm not accepting that, or I'll take that. There's no filters with the subconscious.
So like electricity, you could make it light a light bulb up, or you could electrocute someone in a chair. It's just the electricity it's not going, oh no, that sounds a bit awful, I'm not going to do that.
No, it's be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, right.
It's be careful what you wish for. So your thoughts. It's the thought, word, deed. So you think something, and then you say it, and then it goes into action. And in kind of let's say in the new age world, the bit that a lot of people miss out is the action. So they kind of do all the internal work, but then they don't do they don't act on it.
So so give me with your flowers, say, oh,
Well,
I'd love to have some flowers, but you're saying I'm really happy. You're acting as if you've already got them. I noticed that rather than just wishing for them to, I wish I had some flowers. It's not going to go poof, there they are.
Yeah.
But what's the action bit then?
Well, I can give you a better example actually.
Yeah.
I wanted a caravan, like a mobile home thing, many years ago. It's one of the first manifestations I did, and I joined the club. It was a Mazda Bongo I wanted. I joined the club, so I was already a member of the club.
I see.
Yeah, the
Touring caravan and whatever club.
they were called Bongo Tastic or something. I can't remember. I can't remember what. But I joined the club, so I'm actually a member. Yeah, I'm not
Right.
like, oh, I'm going to join the club.
Yeah, I'll join it when I've
joined
got
the club.
thing.
I've joined
Yeah.
the club, and I had whenever I turned on my computer, my wallpaper was a Mazda Bongo, and I kept visualizing Mazda Bongos on eBay continually for about 6 months, and I came back off holiday with my good lady, and I sat down on a Sunday evening, and this one Bongo was there, and it was in Minehead, not that far away from me. It was £3,000. It had everything going for it. Nobody had bid on it. And I said to my wife, I said, I'm going to bid on this. And she was like, oh, we haven't got any money. What are you going to do? It's £3,000, blah, blah, blah. And I just said, I'm going to buy it. This is it. So I pulled it. I pulled the trigger on it. And I bid £3,100. And I won it. And she said, well, what are you going to do? You can't pay for it. And I said, well, I think we got about 1,500 quid. So, And
so we're going to be 1,500 short.
yeah, so basically, as soon as I bought it, the woman messaged me and she said, "We're going away on holiday for 3 weeks. Is it okay if you come and get it when we come back?" And I just said, "Well, we've got it, and we haven't got the money, but we will have it in 3 weeks. I'll make sure that happens." So in that story, the action part of it was me actually bidding on it.
Right, taking that risk. But
going for it.
Going for it, yeah.
So
and
the
I can
action
see
bit-
why people could be a bit nervous about that.
Well, it is to do with having belief.
Yes.
None of this works unless you truly believe it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get that. But that, and I suppose that's what stops people from succeeding, because they sort of they have what you might call a reality check and go, oh, hang on a minute, this is ridiculous. How could this possibly work? I haven't got the money in the bank. No one's going to give it. And then already they're setting off the negative chain that prevents them from making it work.
Yeah. The trick is to actually not concentrate on the how.
Right.
You don't go, oh, how am I going to get the flowers, or how am I going to get the camper van?
Yeah.
You've already got it. I'll give you a
Right.
really good example of a person who is very, very good at this. Tyson Fury, the boxer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, interesting concept. What he's already won. When he goes into the boxing ring, he's won.
Yeah. Well, I suppose Muhammad Ali was like that, wasn't he? I'm the champ. I'm the champ. You
Yeah.
know, swing like a butterfly, eat
That's
like
it.
a bee.
That's it. So he's already won, and he's emotionally charging
Yes.
his winning before he's even stepped in. The other guy hasn't got a chance because they're all, both him and Tyson, are using this concept and this technique to win their fights because
Yes.
they've already won. And it's about already having it, already experiencing it, already being it, and once you do, because the universe understands you being something which is a vibrational match to what you want. So you have to charge it with emotion. And that's the key component that people kind of miss. So
And I'm just sort of intervene here about people might go, oh, this just sounds very materialistic, but presumably this isn't just for material, having flash sports cars and big houses and things like that, because ultimately things don't make you happy. We know that because a lot of rich people have a lot of things and then they're as miserable as sin. So presumably you can use the same technique to improve what gives you meaning and happiness in your life.
yeah, you can use it for relationships. You can use it for experiences. You can use it for. I think experiences kind of covers a lot of it. But relationships and experiences and happiness. You can.
And can you use it to defeat? I mean, we're in this
Yeah.
awful situation in which the government are being very tyrannical and dictatorial. We've got the WEF and some fake Bond villains pretending to want to take over the world. Can we use it to push back against those things?
Absolutely. 100%.
It's quite. Yeah. I mean, just from that point of view, all this stuff. I mean, I constantly say to my audience, we don't have to give consent to all of this, and if we've got this, what are we calling it? The law of attraction, to be able to sort of say, actually, instead of concentrating on the bad things that are coming to us, just push those away and concentrate on freedom and the light and doing good things, being nice to one another, and not having to worry about finances and things like that. So you can just get on and enjoy life, because that's what we're here presumably to enjoy it rather than endure it.
No, absolutely. It's interesting. In the Matrix, Neo becomes the true. There's that scene where he becomes the true, incredible, undefeatable. Neo. He's the one, Neo, and it's because he's dropped all his preconceptions and he's found his sovereignty, and nobody can touch him.
Right.
The issue is that we're so far away from that consciousness, and we're kept in that frequency. They play with the fear. There's the Dr. David Hawkins scale of frequency. Anything below 200 hertz is courage and below, and they're just continually putting us into fear. So once
they don't want us to know, then they don't want us to know,
no,
because otherwise they can't do what they want. It looks to me, and maybe it's because I'm tuning into all this, and I'm sort of early on, still quite new to the journey. But it seems to me this is now changing, that we are in that state where they can't keep us down, and they're desperately throwing more and more stuff left, right and centre. But the more they throw, the more stupid it seems, because none of it's sticking. Not enough.
No, it's the beating, like you said earlier. When you get into the subconscious will accept positive and negative, and if you're beating the drum of negativity, you're just going to attract the negativity.
Yeah.
And especially on social media, and I'm sure you've seen this, but there are loads of people posting all the stories of the kind of the system and the matrix, and they keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, and they are actually building the matrix. Those freedom loving people are actually
Yes.
building the matrix.
Well, I kind of realised that myself. I thought,
Yeah.
hang on a minute, I'm doing the devil's work,
Yes.
and so I want to look at solutions, and so I try to avoid all of that nonsense,
Yeah.
and try and still find an audience, of course, because
Well, of
people are
course.
so attracted to the disaster stuff. Look out behind you, it's coming. Oh, really? Rather than here, have a nice cake.
Yeah.
But as more people wake up to it, they probably will turn their backs on this fear stuff.
Well, from my point of view, I hope that those people get fed up with it, and I feel that people just get fed up with being down, and I think you said it in one of your shows a few months ago, where you said the people will turn around and they go, "Hold on, all those people are doing okay, they're having fun," and that's the difference. And
Yeah.
if you beat the drum of positivity, we're all magnets. The Magdalene, the magician, magnitude, they're all the same word.
Yes.
We're all magnets. We are literally magnets, and that's part of my talk, where I talk about how you can charge yourself. And you go into some rooms, people who are absolute masters of this sort of work. When you walk into a room, you can tell the people who are like holding the room. They have a magnetism about them, don't they? It's
Yeah,
because they're
absolutely.
working with their energy to be a magnet. And the more we concentrate on the positive side of life, and the more that we tune into the positivity and all the good stuff, the more that will grow. And it's been, that's kind of what the Shine seminars is about. Because I had
So,
people. Oh, just to say, Richard, I had some people come up to me after the first Shine seminars and said, "Well, you didn't talk about all the nonsense and the pandemic and everything." And I said, "But just for one day, just
yeah.
for one day. I don't want anybody talking about it. This is our day, the
Yes.
positivity." And I came away from that going, you know what? One day, that was September the 28th, 2021. So we were well into it, and we hadn't had a break. It was just wall to wall fear. And that one day I was like, we're not having any of that here. And, it was a great day, because we just were very positive about life and celebrated ourselves, so.
So now you've mentioned that your talk, and I came to see your talk, but you give these talks and you set up these talks and you do things. Now you're talking, I believe, soon. Can you tell us where that is? Because I'm sure people will be wanting to throw themselves at your feet to listen to your wisdom.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Richard. It's I'm standing up for myself here, and without ego. But I think that my talk does really give people some real substance to go away and intentionally create a better environment for themselves. I'm not doing anything new. I'm just the next generation that's repeating these things that have come down the line for many years. But
Yes.
I think there's 8 or 9 speakers. It's in Glastonbury. It's Thursday and Friday next week at the Assembly Rooms.
So what date is that? In case people are.
It's the 19th and 20th.
Oh, there we go. Brilliant.
And
I'll put a link in the description.
yeah, that's event that Lisa Raven from Raven Soul Academy has put on. She really is working what we would call the purification space, which is pure positivity. Now, there is a whole spectrum, isn't there, of things that are going on. And
Yes.
there are some people like Lisa who are really, really holding space for. I'll give you an example. Conquer's School is going to be there.
Conquer School.
Yeah. The lady from
What,
Conquer's
playing the
School.
old.
Well, yeah, sort of, yeah.
Okay. I like the sound of that.
It's fantastic. So, in Poole, in Dorset, this lovely lady set up this school, which is teaching you how to make natural soaps and deodorants and things like that. Now, that's part of the day. It goes from, kind of water meditation to my talk to Conquer School. People are bringing their own wisdoms, their own stories to the 2-day gig. And Conquer School is saying, well, we don't want to pay Unilever, Procter and Gamble, all those companies. Why not make our own deodorants? Why not make our own soaps? So it's very much, it's a disconnecting from the matrix, but also creating our own new earth, as some people are calling it. So it's going to be 2 days of just some fantastic, positive people sharing their stories and giving people tools with which to use in their own lives to thrive. And that's what Lisa's done. And it's a great event. I'm very grateful for Lisa asking me to talk, because she didn't need to.
I'm just having a quick look online to see if I can find a web page with it on, so I can just show people. But
it's on Facebook.
I'm not signed into Facebook on this machine, unfortunately.
Let me see if I've got it. I've got it on my screen.
I can't save this. I can't. Well, I can do partly. But I'll put a link. Send me the link. I'll put the link. People can have a look afterwards, because they may be signed in. I try to avoid a number of these big people's things. Bill Gates's old operation at Windows and the face ache thing. I try to avoid all of that.
That's quite a pleasant. So have you gone down the Linux route, Richard? What are you doing?
I would like to. I would like to rebuild this studio and do all in that. Actually, I would, and I probably got to invest in this at the moment. It is, although it all looks very nice, it is a bit Mickey Mouse. So I shall be sitting here materializing, doing the law of attraction, with feeling being the secret. Yeah. And having this wonderful studio. But ideally, I would like the studio with not too many EMFs warping my head. But so far, to be honest with you, all that warping of my head has brought amazing guests to the show, including your very good self. So people should come along. And are your Shine events? I mean, it's absolutely brilliant. You had some amazing speakers to the ones I've got. Have you got more planned for next year?
Well, interesting enough, I had an email off the landlords of the land for the 3-day event in August, and we are going to do the event next August again. So we've got that one in the bag. I would love to do an event in a beautiful setting. Stourhead or Chatsworth, somewhere like that. I just feel I want to go somewhere where I'm overawed by the venue. I know that sounds a bit odd, but I really feel like somewhere that's really magnificent and got majesty about it. So that's my manifestation for next year. We are going to do some 1-day events, but I haven't got anything planned.
Would that, if you're there at Chatsworth or one of these grand, beautiful Georgian estates and things, would that put the price up for people?
Well, I kind of do myself down because we don't do it for money. But what I do is I really push the venue and go, look, we're not for profit. We're health and nutrition and well-being and sovereignty. That's what I say. And, give us a deal, mate. It's that sort of thing. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, some of the places are really expensive, but I do try and keep the ticket prices down as low as possible. I feel that those people that don't have money, they need to be part of this journey. So, I mean, the last one we did in Matara Gardens, incredible venue. We managed to put that event on for £37.50 a day for that day. And that was for 8 hours of speakers. And everybody got paid except me.
Well, that's it's fine. It's no good. We don't want that. There is something. I mean, I've been starting to do these sort of things where people have even asked me to come and talk. I mean, what do I know? I mean, I bring people, geniuses like yourself onto the thing, but people have been asking me to come along. And what I have realised from standing in front of an audience and talking about this sort of stuff, or my journey in this stuff and what I believe, and it's my opinion, and I never say I'm an expert. I'm not at all. The importance for me for me itself, and meeting people in the flesh and talking to them. Because when people watch videos, they'll watch their video on their phone and go, oh yeah, that's very interesting. Oh, I never knew that. And then they're on the next video. Oh, no, that's interesting as well. And before you know it, they're back on the fear porn or whatever it is. But when they're at an event like you've done with your Shinings, or any of these sort of talks where people linger and then they talk, the subject that they've just been listening to is talked about, and then they're talking about it in the car on the way home, and then talking to people after the event. Oh, I saw this idiot on bald bloke with glasses. He was, but I think the power of being in front of people in real life, in a real place, is so important. And also AI and deep fake can't come along and spirit us away and make us say things that we didn't actually say. Yeah. So I think more power to you and your events and getting people in. And I think that's why it is important that people can have access to it and actually, touch and poke and prod and go, oh yeah, these people are real and genuine, and what they're saying is meaningful.
Yeah. Well, I think it was great when I saw you go on the road, Richard. And I think one of your first gigs or talks was down in Qstoke in Weston-super-Mare. And I just thought, this is great that you're getting out and about, because you do actually, we're talking about quantum work. And when you're with people, your frequency affects the people around you. And I mean, it's not rocket science. You go to the theatre and you see a fantastic performance. You come out, you're tingling, you know, and you're in a heightened state of being. And you walk to the car and you're like, oh, that was an amazing experience. You don't get that. Well, you get it when you go to the cinema on a lower level. But then when you're watching it at home on your TV or by yourself or on your phone, it's not the same. The frequency of people in real life is really powerful. And don't put yourself down when it comes to your gigs, because you're also getting people to come to an event.
Yes.
And I always, at the 3-day event we did, the conversations that the attendees had were as important, if not more important, than the speakers' talks.
Yeah, no, I agree, absolutely, because and
incredible.
And when I've done a talk and people people say, oh, thanks so much for coming, and I say, well, thank you for coming, because look how all of you are engaging and making new friends or new contacts, and you're talking about the situation we're in a positive light, which is and that's got to be filtering out into the universe and helping all of us.
It really is, and it's priceless, Richard. You going around and doing the gigs, and Karen Dodds is doing her Rise and Shine in December, amazing. Down in Hope, Sussex, they're doing incredible jobs. Truth Juice in Birmingham is doing amazing jobs. There are all these people who are putting on these. Even Belle down in Shaftesbury, she does her little event once every 2 months. Hunter Gathering, absolutely incredible little gig. She gets 80 people. Beautiful.
We need a central website, don't we, that lists all these types of gigs, because those that are interested often say, I've heard people say, oh, when was that Shine thing? And you go, oh, sorry, you've missed it. Oh, I never heard about it. And we kind of need a central place. Is there one?
Well, I have spoken to people about this amongst the kind of network groups, and there's 2 points of view on this. One is that if we create a central hub, then we're acquiescing our power to that central hub. So, right. For instance, we need people all over the place to stand up and put events on and to promote the events. So that's the first take. Having a central hub is fantastic, but it's also very vulnerable in that it can be taken down, and people rely on that. I will say I took the initiative in the Southwest and made a Southwest events group, of which we've got 300 people, and a lot of people feed in their events. I know Karen Dodds has asked other people to do their own versions in their own towns. So that is being rolled out. And actually, the lovely, lovely David Edelman has a very small group that actually is doing that at the moment. But it's not publicly known about particularly. It's more for people who are putting events on. So there is definitely there's definitely room.
Pros and cons for something. But I absolutely take your point, because if people rely on something, even if it's not nefarious, even if just the server goes down or something happens, and then people become lazy again, and it's that convenience of, oh, there's the one. So I get that. So yeah, it was just but it's interesting, and as you say, we want more people putting on events left, right, and centre, with new dynamic speakers as well.
I think, Richard, what's really interesting is you are that central hub.
Oh, so put it on me now. If I haven't got enough to do.
No, but I mean, literally, in a certain way, you are. I feel that kind of rolling adverts is all very well and good, but actually putting an event on. Mark Atwood did that amazing event in Manchester. When you put an event on and you get a load of people come along, and I mean, I say at the end of every Shine seminars, I was like, look, you lot, put an event on. It's like, I'm really forward about it. And I was like, put an event on, I'll help you. We'll have a great time. We'll all go out, we'll find a great venue for some great speakers. And, there are people who will. One of the things that we're doing is we're all stepping into each other's shoes.
Yes.
So as somebody's going to do something, somebody else will take their place and do that, and then I'll move into somebody else's space, and then somebody will move into my space, and that's the way that it's going to move forward. I think it's up to the individual, because that's what the real trick of the whole of this situation is, to find their sovereignty and actually go out and find what they want. And they will do that if they look. We can't be lazy anymore.
No.
That's one of the tricks of the Matrix. Is the biggest one, I think. Is everything is for convenience.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. That's how they've nobbled people.
That's
because
it.
people have just been so reliant on, oh, well, it's a bit easier if I do it this way.
Yeah.
And in the end, you're not doing anything, and you've given everything to the state.
Yeah.
And before you know it, your freedom's vanished, and we've got to just take back that responsibility and claim it back. And go, hang on a minute, I don't need you to do that, because I can do it. Of course I can do it. I'm a fully fledged member of the universe.
That's
Thank you very
exactly
much.
it. I mean, well, the other thing we do have to remember, and I was speaking to somebody else about this the other day. We are kind of at the very beginning of this kind of new world, because they're not going to win. They can't win. Their frequency is too low, and they will kill themselves. They'll burn themselves. They'll eat themselves. They'll just go to a frazzle. So we are very embryonic. We're right at the bow of the ship. And I think we forget that the people who are putting events on at the moment, we are literally, one of the, we're the first people to do it. And so people like Karen Dodds, who's done on her 10th gig now, is doing absolutely, she's done 10.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible, and she's doing 2-day gigs. Sarah Kibble's doing them down the road. All sorts of different people in Totnes are doing them. There's the people in Stroud. So, there's a lot of positivity to be had. It's just, let's see the people from Derby, Northamptonshire, Norfolk, all those people who can see what's going on. They need to do it too.
Yes, well, I was in Norfolk. I've done a couple of gigs in Norfolk and Suffolk fairly recently, and Liz Phillips has got one going on in Liverpool in November.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I think we are building with all of this. There's so many people, and it will only get bigger and better. And you're absolutely right. They haven't got a hope in hell in stopping all of this.
No.
And it's always inspirational, Eli, talking to you. Absolutely is.
Thank you.
I'll have to check my diary now to see what I'm doing on those dates, because unfortunately things keep clashing with me, because people ask me and I go, oh, but I want to throw myself on the floor in front of the great Eli Everyman and listen to every word, and all the other amazing speakers who are going to be there on the 19th and 20th. Did you say it?
That's
is it
right.
called, I've written it down. Is it called Glastonbury? In the town hall, is it?
It's not actually. It's in the assembly rooms.
In the assembly rooms. There we go.
But just to say, Richard, Karen's gig in London, the Uprise and Shine, which is the 2nd and 3rd of December.
Yes, I can't make that one.
That's a fantastic lineup.
Is it? I wish.
It's an absolutely fantastic lineup. Honestly, it's brilliant, and she's done so well. And I really hope that she gets a lot of support there. And doing it in London, that's a tough gig.
Yeah.
So, all more grease to her elbow, as they say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's all good. It's all good. It's going in the right direction.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for and also just going back to what's his name, Goddard, whose name I've now
Neville,
just forgotten.
Nev.
Neville, good old Nev, mate. Yes. So the power of what do you call it? Feeling is the secret. The feeling is the secret of materialization. So if you're interested in that, you'll be talking about that, and it will be interesting to get feedback from other people watching this if they've been doing a lot of the manifestation and can add anything to it.
I'll just say quickly before I go, there's a great quote from Nikola Tesla, because everybody talks about the frequency, vibration, and energy. This is one of my favorite quotes. The day science begins to study non-physical phenomenon, it will make more progress than it made in all of the previous centuries of its existence.
Wow. Yeah. And we're doing that now.
That's actually what we're doing. So
Yeah.
there we go.
There we go. Well, he was right in so many areas.
He really was. He really was.
Eli, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I hope millions of people turn up and clamour at the door, and knock on the door and say, "Oi, let me in, you swine! I want to listen." And so it means that you have to do it several times over, which I'm sure will happen, because I shall now go and manifest that. Good luck with all of that and all that you do, and I can't wait for us to get together in the flesh and do one of these, and we can sort of talk about all of this stuff. Because the more I get out and about and do these where I'm actually in the physical, what do you call it, in space, it just makes it so much nicer than over Zoom. But if Zoom is what we've got, that's what we'll deal with.
Yeah, it's a tool.
It's a tool.
Yeah.
It gives me a chance to look into your office and see all those amazing books.
It's going to be different soon. I got a new bookshelf coming.
Oh, filling it up like me.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Well, good luck on the talk. Good luck on the talk.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, no, it's been fascinating. Well, there you are, ladies and gentlemen. Feeling is the secret. Go if you can go and see that. But otherwise, I'm sure Eli will be back and we'll do some more discussions about how it all works. In the meantime, I'll be back with more interesting guests and monologues. I nearly said manifestations then, but I'll be doing that privately. Until next time, from Eli and I, thanks for watching and goodbye.